I'm Amanda,
I'm Janani.
and we go the International Baccalaureate program at Rudbeck in Sweden, Örebro.
Yeah, and if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in the IB program. And today we are here to clear some assumptions.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
First one is the teachers are strict in the IB program. I wouldn't agree with that. I think the teachers are very kind and helpful, and they provide the guidance that's required.
Yeah, and I think also because the IB, at least at Rudbeck, is a very small program. We only have one class in each grade. We become very much like a family. And it sounds cliche, but I feel like the grades above you are always very willing to help, as well as the teachers, because everybody know each other.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. Okay. It's harder to get a good grade in the IB, as majority of your grade depends on the finals.
I wouldn't agree with that so much. I think throughout the 2 years, you get a lot of time to prepare for the finals. So, yes, a majority of your grade does depend on the finals, but I don't think it's very hard because you are given the time to prepare for it.
Yeah, I agree. It was like one of the things, because I was one of the students, I was set on not doing the IB. I was like, it's going to be too hard for me. I'm not like those super smart people. I'm not going to do good, but I did the IB. I'm in the IB. And as soon as we started with like IB year one, from the beginning we started like practicing and looking at how we should write and practicing for the finals. So I feel like you're almost more prepared for those exams than you are for exams you have monthly.
And I think throughout the 2 years you have a lot of small tests like after each chapter, which gives you a sense of how the questions might look like in the finals.
And also where you're at.
But yeah, exactly.
Even though you don't get your official grades until the third year, you still know where you're at, and you get grades on those tests also. So it sounds very scary, but it really isn't that scary when you look at the amount of support from the IB and the teachers. And I would say also like the IB provides so much material, and they're so specific on how they want you to answer and what range of questions they could ask.
It is hard to come up with ideas for CAS.
Well, I would say for me it wasn't that hard. For me, one of the things I started an Instagram account where I posted like songs I've written, and it's like always something I wanted to do, but I was like, oh no, it's too scary. What are people gonna think? But now it's like, well, now I have a reason for it to do it. But I think for some people it's hard, but really, it's exaggerated of how hard it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. Like you can just do anything for CAS. There's just so much to do.
Yeah.
And if you can't come up with anything, I think the supervisor does help you a lot. Like I've got a lot of my ideas by talking with the supervisor.
Yeah.
And I think look at CAS like as a fun thing to do, as you said. Like if you have not done something in a long time and you wanted to do that, it's a great chance.
Yeah. And with everything regarding IB, because so many people do it around the world, there are so many ideas and tips and resources that people post like on YouTube or on Google or anything on blogs. Like you can get ideas from so many different places. It's not worth taking the IB if you're planning to study in a Swedish university.
But I think something that IB does is to prepare you for the university more than any program. So I think it doesn't really matter in which country you're studying. I think you will be prepared for the university.
Definitely. It's like even if you think like, oh, I'm going to university, it's not worth it, I would say, maybe it's a bit harder than other Swedish gymnasielinjer. But it really prepares you, I would say, way better, because it's more alike how universities do it.
Okay, the next one is you have to study all the time in the IB program. Okay, this is a very common assumption.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's really about time management. As we said in the previous assumptions, we do have a lot of time, but it's really about how you plan your study.
And I think it's because like in IB year one, which is tvåan i gymnasiet, it's not a lot of things that are like for your actual grade. It's mainly just focusing on learning the IB system and also just learning information. And I think a lot of people think like, oh, the exams are so far away and like like Janani mentioned earlier, we have tests, but they aren't going into your grades. It's just for you to know like where you're standing and how much you know and stuff. And I think a lot of people just don't give it all they got and just kind of slack first year, and then they have to catch up in the end because they think, oh no, it doesn't matter now, and then when it actually matters, those that year and those months that you think, oh, it doesn't matter that much, I can just catch up, like you have to catch up, and it usually doesn't go that well.
Is that you need to study, obviously, but also that the fact that you can choose your subjects, I think you automatically get interested to study that subject, so that makes it a little easier. But you need to study. That's like part of it. But maybe not all the time. Yeah.
So I think it's a bit over exaggerated. But you know, it is hard still. But I would say it's worth it. And I'm not like super smart. I would say so. You have to be really good at English to study the IB program.
Well, definitely because the IB program is in English. All the lessons is taught in English. But I think the first year, which is the diploma year program,
which is ettan gymnasiet in Sweden.
I think that really trains you and gives an idea of how well you need to be in English. And again, you can choose between English A and English B and all that. So you definitely need to have a good like base knowledge. But after that, I think you learn a lot.
And I think that was also one of my biggest worries. Before taking the IB, because like I knew I could speak English well and I understood English, but I was like, well, I've never had chemistry in English or biology or history, whatever. I don't know that type of English. But I think that really wasn't a problem. And even though like looking at our class, not everybody is like sounds great or is like super fluent in English. But you really develop a lot, and I wouldn't say there have been any problems for anyone, even though we're at different levels when it comes to our English speaking. You really learn so quickly to get used to speaking English and understanding and everything.
Now going on to the last one. You can't get into Swedish universities if you take the IB diploma.
It's a little bit like I said before. We have different grading systems. We just you just transfer your grades from the numbers into Swedish grades, and it's just like a chart. It's really easy. It's not that complicated. To go IB, it's not like you're not going to get prioritized. You're going to be seen as everybody else. And also, I would say having to see like how IB does everything, and also listening to a lot of old IB students. Every single IB student you talk about that has graduated and has started university says like you are so much more prepared than your other peers when it comes to dealing with stress and writing a lot of essays and studying for big tests, because you get that experience so much earlier, and you've already like learned how to deal with that.
Exactly.
So I would say you're even more prepared. And also, it looks really good on resume. When they see you have the diploma, they really value that, and they know that what IB students has gone through.
You basically increase your chances to study abroad, but that does not mean you cannot study in Sweden.
So we're gonna end this by just like talking a little bit by why we picked the IB. So Janani, what do you think you should pick the IB, and why did you pick the IB?
I personally picked IB mainly because of the language, because I wanted to study in English, and also like future studies, I wanted it to be in English. And secondly, I really like the fact that you can choose your own subjects, because I'm not interested in social studies, for example. Then I don't have to study that in high school, which I think is really fun, because then you're more engaged in your studies. You feel like you chose this. So you end up being more engaged with your studies.
I said this earlier, but I was really intrigued when I learned about the IB. I didn't know it before, and I just kind of stumbled upon it. And then I looked it up a bit, and I just realized, oh, this is only for smart people. It's gonna be so hard. It's finals, and it's different language, even though I really enjoyed English. But then as I thought about it more and looked into it more, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna not do it because it's hard, because I see that this is something that I think I would really enjoy. I would not change it for the world, and I really like it. It goes up and down sometimes. We have awesome teachers and an amazing class, and I really recommend it if you enjoy English and you're ready to have a really good education.
Yeah, I think throughout the program you really grow a lot as a person.
Yeah.
You gain a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
And you just have so much. You learn to take responsibility on your own. So
I would totally agree with that. I had a really hard time in first year, and that was only the pre-DP. Such a big step up from the level I was at before. But I think if you really just push through, I think the main thing is like you learn so much about yourself and how to study and how to plan your time and to be disciplined and and I think tips for you guys that are going into IB, just if it's hard, just keep on going. Just because that's one of the great things by being great at the end. Like you have your time to grow.
Exactly.
And it sounds cliche and people will say it over and over, but it like take the time to grow and take the time to really push through and be disciplined and never give up, and you'll do great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to us. Feel free to watch our other video that goes through the steps of the IB and the structure of it. But also feel free look it up. There's a lot of people like us that has posted YouTube videos about their experience with the IB and their tips and explaining their experience. So yeah.
So hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.